All right. Happy New Year, everybody.
Yes.
Woo!
How we doing?
24.
We're doing.
I was looking for one of those horns, but I guess I got rid of those when I was young.
Okay.
Couldn't find any of them. But anyway, Happy
We'll
New Year, everybody. Huh?
We'll go with that.
Huh?
What, when I was young?
Oh, that you got rid of them then.
You know what, John? We're 2 seconds in. Hey, Joe Stinger, welcome. 10-year anniversary from when Joe retired from working in Ardmore for the Public Works Department and moving to Brownsville, Florida. So congratulations, 10 years.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Brooksville. Sorry. So, yeah. So, Happy New Year. Happy Joe Stinger. Lauren and Anthony have switched sides, so I guess they're looking for a little different chemistry. I don't know. What's going on there?
We'll go with that.
You go with that?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, I think it was just he sat down and we started snacking and then we turned the show on.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No need for an answer. I thought maybe you just were changing things up.
Yeah, maybe the switch will be what the Eagles need.
Feng shui.
Great segue. But first, we got to get updated on the fantasy football because we got some heat coming down with a few people that need to get their votes in.
Yes. Yep. We Carl's mentioning that because he won this week. So.
Oh, whoa! It's not my first rodeo, there, Jack. Come on.
It's all good.
See, you're in one of those moods. I can tell.
Oh yeah. I'm a little punchy today.
You're feisty.
A little punchy.
You're feisty.
Yeah.
All right.
The Eagles did it to me. I haven't been able to sleep since Sunday night. So
thank God I only have to deal with it for an hour. Well, not really. I haven't gotten rid of this headache in 3 days now.
Yeah. But Carl, you took control and put us over the top this year. We got 10 wins, so we're not going to end in a tie. You beat the viewers 188 to 183. Thanks to thanks to Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes not doing well for the viewers. It sealed the deal because it was going right down to the wire there. Since they had those last two players playing in the night game, I guess, or the late game then. So, where you had everybody done at 1:00 on Sunday, so it was a nail biter going there.
So what are you saying? I got lucky?
No, you did well. You kicked butt. You did your job. A win's a win, right?
I didn't make up my own plays.
No, yeah, a win's a win. You didn't go off script. You took what was in front of you, and you did what you were supposed to. Stephen White.
What else do we have?
Stephen White was the overall winner, the high scorer for the week with the score of 216. So good job for him because it was a lower scoring week this past week, and he was able to go over the 200 barrier there and get away from some of the guys that did less damage than they should have. And then I spent the weekend and then this afternoon tallying up all the scores so far up to week 17. And Liz Adam Crilly, she's the high scorer right at the moment with a score of 35.91 so far. Carolyn Bachman, she's in second place. She's behind by like 20 points. And then Kyle O'Brien's behind her by 8 points. And then the interesting part is Randy Bachman, her husband, is right there behind her, 25 points behind. So, and then Randy Sr. wanted me to let everybody know that they're disappointed in Randy Jr. because he's about 200 points behind.
Oh, wow.
He disappointed his parents because he's falling behind there a little bit. So, it's a tough battle when you're in the family family business there, fantasy football. So
shame on you, Junior.
he snoozed on a couple of weeks, and so he's behind there. So we got it's interesting. I went through them all. We have 70 people, 60 of them that played pretty much every week. 62 people played every week, and top to bottom, we're about 400 and some points difference between the top and the last place there. So with everybody that's played, which may sound like a lot right at the moment, but with the playoffs schedule and the way the points multiply and you don't get to change your lineup every week, that gets picked up pretty quickly. So
all right, it's been a pretty good year then.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's pretty tight with the scoring, up at the top there. So it's good to see.
All right,
we got a good battle going on.
All right.
Nobody's out of this.
All right.
So yeah, we're doing well.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Lauren, you opened the show, so I'm gonna hand it off to you. I know you're frustrated like all of us. What's your take on these birds?
Well, I mean, I guess I mentioned it last week that I felt like something was going on in the locker room that wasn't really being talked about. I haven't been able to listen to everything that AJ Brown said today, finally, but from what you guys filled me in on, it sounds like that him and Jalen are kind of going off script, that they're sort of improvising, maybe making up their own plays as they go. So on one hand, my thought is that's clearly not working. So stop doing that. But on the other side, they're doing it because they don't feel like whatever is being called is correct. And unfortunately, that tells me that Nick has lost them. When you start going outside of what the coach is calling or the coaches are calling, you think you know better than them. So now the guy who used to be a player's coach is basically made to look a fool by his players because they're coming up with plays of their own. So there is something going on in the locker room.
I don't know that it's AJ Brown though. Everyone's making it like he's the.
No, I'm not making it. No, I don't think it's him at all. I think he wears his emotions on his sleeve.
I'm not saying you. I'm saying because he wears his emotions on his sleeve, people to go to him and they, consider him the typical pain in the ass wide receiver. It must be him. When I don't know that that's true. I think there's bigger issues to see. Even when they were winning, those guys had to go off script because some of those play calls were horrendous. They just happen to work during those times, and some of these times they haven't worked. So
you're correct about that because Sirianni had mentioned that through some press conferences throughout the year that not that they went off script, but Jalen called an audible or whatever it was. So and like I said, it worked. So yeah.
Yeah, is that anything different than what Joe Montana did or Peyton Manning did or Eli Manning did? I mean, these quarterbacks read the defense, right? They have the play in front of them. Yeah, I know what's being called, but it's not always the right scenario for it.
No, but the problem becomes that when it doesn't work, people get upset. When it works, they don't care.
This isn't Joe Montana. This isn't Eli Manning. We're not comparing apples to apples here. If they were blowing teams out and we're saying, yeah, we're deciding what the play is going to be once we see the defense, that would be a completely different conversation. But you just lost to a team that had 3 wins.
And nobody's more frustrated about it than me. And there's a lot of Eagles fans that are right there in line with me. But John and I have been trying to figure out a lot of different things that have been going on. And I know the defense has taken a hit, and rightfully so. But I just think in a lot of instances, they're just a tick off. They're not that far. They're missing somebody along the front line. They're missing something. And I just don't, I don't know if it's, any one particular player, combination of players. But I mean, you look at that Sunday game and the time of possession, just absolutely just blows me away. You know what they went through. John, I know you're a big numbers guy, and that's just insane. And I've got a little story for you guys. I don't know if anybody pays attention to John Clark's podcast, but yesterday he had Ray Didinger on, and Ray went out on the limb and he basically said this is the worst performance by an Eagles team that he's ever seen.
And that's saying a lot when he's seen a lot of bad Eagles
seen
football.
A lot of football. He's seen a lot of
Eagles
football, a lot of Eagles football, and to come out with that kind of a comment, And I mean, I know Ray's very honest, and he told us the whole story about Doug Peterson and how he got fired, and I just feel like we're heading down that same path again.
Well, I still think that they're not going to, no matter what happens, I don't care what happens, they're not going to fire Nick Sirianni. I know other people think different. They're going to fire all the coaches around him and, give him another chance. He was in the Super Bowl, so you can't, they're not going to do that. However, I just wish he would have a little bit more ownership of what's going on there. He kind of gives this coaches talk and the general BS that they give. I get it, but say what's going on, own up to it. Hey, this is happening. This is what's going on. We're trying to fix it. But everyone's like, I don't know what's going on. Someone knows what's going on. Maybe at the beginning of the year, you had these same problems, but you were winning, so it was no big deal. Now that you're losing, it's a huge deal. So just tell everyone what's going on.
And I think, move on. I think the problems have been there all season. I think you saw them all season long. We were just a very lucky 10-1 team, basically, for a long time. Like we've said before, we never blew anybody out. We never looked like a dominant team. And it's funny because we talked about how come, the power rankings and, the bookies don't have us, ranked higher. How can we be underdogs all the time? Clearly, they were seeing something that the rest of us weren't, or at least the rest of us didn't want to admit to seeing. But like I said last week, there's an issue. There's an issue in that locker room. And until those guys can come together and figure it out and get back on track, I've never been more unenthused for a playoff round than I am for this.
Yeah.
Frankly, unless you're winning the Super Bowl, don't waste my time.
Well, you know what the thing is? I think those games that they won early season, they had this, whatever issues are going on, they're still happening. But the reason they won those games early on is because some of those plays worked with A.J. Brown. Also, they are very talented. They're a talented group of people, so they figured out a way to win.
Right.
At a certain point, though, if your plays aren't working and everyone's seen the talent and how you improvise, they figure you out. And the Eagles have been figured out. So could they change things? People are figuring they're going to lose in the first round now. That's just, it just is fascinating to me because, people talked a few weeks ago about them, winning the Super Bowl. It just, can anything be salvaged in this year? Is there a way to fix that? Even if they don't start players this week, is there a way for them to go to Tampa or wherever, blow the team out, and for people to get back on this bandwagon? I mean, they are still a playoff team, so I've seen weirder things happen. But
wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be something if they turn it around just in time for the playoffs?
Yeah. Well, it's happened before with the Baltimore Ravens when they won the Super Bowl. Like Shawnee says, though, they had a better defense and a running game, which we don't usually possess. But but just like you were saying, that you don't think Sirianni is going to get fired. Carl and I were talking about that today. It'd be hard to see that happen, but if you're going to be bringing in veteran guys, what kind of veteran guys are going to want to come the coach here under Sirianni, who is going to be the leader?
Right. I think what would happen is maybe some might not, but they're going to see, hey, they're still relatively a good team. Hey, they were just in the Super Bowl. Hey, this is my chance to get to be a head coach again. Someone will, but I just don't think, with them going to the Super Bowl, that they're going to get rid of him. When they're doing well, people love him, right? When they're not doing well, they think he's a goof. So I think they're going to give him another year. I mean, quite frankly, I wish some of my teams would go that far. You know what I mean? They're going to get rid of all the guys around them, and they're going to start fresh, and they're going to have a lot of the same players and get new veterans or whatever. But we're also talking like the year's over with. There is a chance they figure something out. Maybe they have a chat with whoever needs to have, I think it's a lot to do with play calls, honestly. And the games they won, they figured out on their own. And since then, they've run out of trick plays and what to do. And they just need better coaches for going forward. I don't know.
We kind of also said the same thing about Doug Peterson, though, too, right after he won the Super Bowl. You wouldn't have thought he was going to get fired. I mean, yeah, it's a 1 year difference versus 2 or 3, but
I don't know. I don't know what the problem is there. I think it's something that has been there all year long, though, that we've just been not looking at because they won those games.
Well, I just think, if you put this whole A.J. Brown storyline together, right? He's exploded on the sidelines before.
Yep, him and Jalen.
He has walked off the field very unhappy, showing a lot of bad juju, just really bad juju. So, even when they were winning, we saw that. I think the thing that bothers me the most comes out of Jalen, and he just doesn't give me any emotion. Good, bad, or indifferent. He just doesn't look like he gives a crap about anything. You get that same look on the sideline week in and week out. You wouldn't know if they were winning 30-0 or losing 30-0.
But I think that's like his brand. That's who he is. He's anchored no matter what's happening.
Well, and when they're winning, that's what people love. Oh my God, look how he's not getting too excited. He's even keeled. So it looks bad when you're losing. It looks like you don't care. But I also,
I agree with Joe. A little bit. No fire in his eyes. He does appear a little lifeless, and he's always appeared that way, though, even when they are winning.
Right.
I mean, even when he was doing his press conference right before the Super Bowl, I mean, he spoke sort of the same way, sort of just like, yeah, we're here, whatever, And he says all the right things, but he doesn't say them in a convincing way.
Right.
So sometimes you think like, is this guy just like pulling my leg, or like what's going on here? Maybe
he's not feeling great. I mean, we haven't seen him go off on really, really big runs and
stuff.
Well,
he's definitely hurt.
He looks like he's tired and like I don't know, maybe there's something going on. Maybe he's frustrated at the coaching staff. He's the one guy that can probably go in there and have his talk with the head coach and tell him how he feels. Maybe he's just tired of what's going on. I mean,
maybe we should send in Bill Mattis and give him a shot of the Mattis minute.
Definitely. Mm-hmm.
I hear that's the cure for everything. So going back to the play calls for a minute, because we're talking about how AJ and Jalen are kind of going off script. Do you think that has any impact then on what we talked about last week when Jason Kelce has more false starts and penalties
we don't know what they're doing
than anybody has seen in a long time? So I wonder if, he hears one call from the coach and now Jalen and AJ, it's kind of become that show. He sort of gets flustered because now he's got to quick change what they're doing versus what he heard, a couple of seconds ago.
John?
Possibly. But I don't know that part of it would affect him as much, because I think,
what do you think?
It's not like the snap count's going to change. It's not like, hey, we're going to do it on 3 instead of 2, or, it's just a matter of how he's going to run the route or, set it up type of thing. I think what it does do is has Hurts focused too much on AJ Brown, and that's possibly how he missed Gainwell across the middle, which was wide open against the.
So then, what reasoning do you think?
Yeah, Seattle game. Yeah.
Kelsey obviously didn't. I don't think he had any penalties in Sunday's game, but prior to that, he had a bunch. And I'm just curious, a veteran like that, who sort of knows the ins and outs so well, for him to get rattled and have that many penalties that he's had this year, that just doesn't feel natural.
Well, this whole thing, if that's the case, is starting to come together, because we've seen, the offensive line, with a lot of miscues. So
they've looked off for a while. I feel like every time I see Jalen Hurts, he's scrambling to the left, scrambling to the right, throwing the ball out of bounds. I feel like he's got 2 seconds, and then separately, but on the same track, I feel like the everyone's getting mad at the offense, but the defense too. Like, you can't give up that many points to the team you lost to last week. I mean, there's absolutely no reason for that.
Let's talk about that a little bit, because here we are. We're a good portion into the show, and we've been talking offense. And I noticed a lot of people that have chimed in tonight, are talking about the defense. And, when your offense goes 1, 2, 3 and out, time after time after time, and it puts the defense back on the field, for these terrible mismatches in time, you're wearing down the defense, before they even have a chance.
And I think they're really starting to show their age.
Well,
yeah, too.
I think that's probably problem number one. Is think
we are week 18 coming up. You know what I mean? It's been a long season for everybody. These past 5-6 weeks have been arguably, probably some of the worst football that the 4 of us have seen in a very long time.
Well, do you also feel like they're getting pressure on the quarterbacks? I feel like everyone's getting pressure on the Eagles, and I feel like the guy, whoever the quarterback is on the other team, has all day to do whatever he wants to do. I mean, there's not one thing you could point out. The whole thing just looks like a disaster right now, and hopefully they're strong enough veterans that they pull their act together, because it just looks abysmal to watch right now.
I think a lot of it is going to fall back on Sirianni for Nixon, his defensive coordinator, and bringing in another guy. That's showing, that's pointing the finger and showing what.
But isn't that what everybody wanted? Didn't everybody want him to make a move? Everybody wanted something, so he does. And because it didn't work, now we don't know why, why he did that in the first place.
That's how people are.
Well, according to the players, John, correct me if I'm wrong, the players were not for this change.
No, actually, they did. They were excited for the move, because they didn't believe in Desai had the answers to help them fix them. They liked him as a person. They just didn't like the that they didn't have any answers for him. To get back to your point, Lauren, I think they're doing a little bit too much. And I think that's what Jason Kelsey is trying to do, a little bit too much out of his realm. Having the false starts, and then as far as no pressure, I think that goes back to, or getting too much pressure on Jalen. I think that goes back to the play calling, because we're waiting for the plays to develop deeper down the field, where Kyler Murray was getting the ball out 5 yards away from the line of scrimmage. Boom! You don't even have a chance to get pressure on them defensively, and that's how you beat the Eagles right now, right? Because you keep the ball away from them. Washington proved it. They just didn't have as much talent.
But when this situation occurs, John, what do you normally do? What's the correct all here? To go back to the basics, right? To run the ball, the short stuff to your tight ends. Keep everything in front of you, right?
Right, but they fell in love with the deep ball. It's kind of like the Eagles or the Phillies with the home runs. During the regular season, in the earlier part of the season, those long balls were hit. A.J. Brown was going for 125 yards, set the record for 6-7 straight weeks. everything was hunky dory. You could just throw the ball down deep, and every pass was completed. Now they're not being completed because people aren't. They know that's what they're going to do, and they're not going to take the short passes. So you went away from the basics, and I think that's why you're seeing some frustration with the offense because Sirianni's doesn't have the answers that he's showing right at the moment, and
So how do you not go back to, run the ball in running situations and pass the ball in passing situations? We're trying to be too cute, right?
Well, no, you're right. Yeah, it's they just don't like the running game as much. It's just
Well, there you are with DeAndre Swift with 1,000 yards though.
Right. Well, I mean, he's getting his carries, but it's like they don't pound it a lot. Like
Gainwell comes in for a spot here and there, and he rips off
right
some good running plays. I just we're missing something. I'm not no one seems to be able to figure it out, and we certainly can't because we're not close enough to it. But maybe what AJ's kind of hinted at. Maybe brings it to the forefront a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's too little, too late. You still got a game Sunday to be played up in the Meadowlands, and gosh, we all know some strange things have happened up in that joint.
Yeah, and it's a big game, because hopefully Washington's got to play the Cowboys, which another divisional game, and Dallas is on the road, so maybe they're able to pull something out. Who knows? And now instead of being a 5 seed, you're a 2 seed, and win the division. Then things look a lot better right there. If the skies are a lot brighter if that's something able like that to happen.
How sweet would that be, huh?
Yeah, because I mean that's the road. The road would be a whole lot different. Instead of having 3 road games that you're going to have to win, you're going to have two home games that you're gonna be able to play, and then of course you're gonna have to go out to San Francisco, and that wouldn't be until the NFC Championship game. So,
well, it's not going to get any easier from that. And even if you have to play a team like Baker Mayfield, who a lot of people dismiss because he's been erratic in times, I'm not sure that current defense is going to be able to stop them from throwing some bombs and scoring a lot of points. So, if that's the easiest game, it's only going to get harder. So, hopefully, whatever they got to figure out, they can figure out in the next 2 weeks.
Well, I mean, the easier game would have been like if they make it to the 2 seed where they don't have to do that. But yeah, no, you're right. I mean, they got Rachaad White as their running back that they could is doing well, and like you said, Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans can pick apart this defense, and Baker's not afraid to throw the ball. So you
got a lot of those young guys that played last week. They're going to just throw to them consistently. And you're gonna have to prove to them that they can stop them.
Right. I mean, they did lose last week though themselves. They got beat up pretty good to the Saints. So,
sure.
So it's still there, but how ironic would it be to go back to Tampa, and that's where the first Tampa beat us here in at the Vet, and that was Jalen Hurts' first playoff game was against Tampa, which didn't work out so well, but.
At the Vet?
Well, no, the Tampa beat us at the end of the season.
You're going back.
As far as playoff wise.
Gotcha.
And then 2 years ago with against ending the season with Brady there in Tampa. So,
well, yeah. Jack Broder's given us a Jack Broder minute with his McNabb Jr. reference on Jalen Hurts. So,
but at least Jalen's able to keep down his chunky soup.
And Emily's already she's got the moving truck already packed, and she's already got her Tampa tickets, and she's already switching uniforms.
Wow, jeez, no more Eagles fans. We weren't going right to Tampa.
Yeah, they're bailing on us.
I think she's talking about if the Eagles have to play in Tampa.
I know.
We know what she's saying, but
I know. I'm just trying to. Fire them up.
Going back to the play calling, I wanted your thoughts. The game is pretty much on the line, right? It's the end of the game, and it's 3rd and 20. On one hand, we've been told you don't run the ball enough. You don't run the ball enough. Now you're telling me that AJ and Jalen are calling the plays.
They're trying to trick.
And the best thing we could come up with was to hand it off to DeAndre Swift or Kenneth Gainwell, whoever the hell had the ball, for about 6 yards. That was the play that either Jalen and AJ called, Nick Sirianni called. That was when he decided we would run the ball. Was on 3rd and 20 with pretty.
That's also the play that AJ Brown lost his shit too.
Well, it doesn't make any sense. How you running the ball on 3rd and 20?
Well, they figured everyone was going to go out wide, so we'd trick them. But you got 20 yards to catch you, so they caught you 6 yards in.
There was no. The thought process there was, I think they were already a beaten team.
Well, I don't know about that because it was. What was it? The Dallas game. It was a little screen pass. It wasn't a run, but it was a screen pass to Gainwell. But it worked against the Dallas game where Devontae Smith went for 3rd and 20 and got the same kind of play, but it went to Devontae Smith instead of Gainwell, and they picked it up. It goes back to the predictability part. That they're 3rd and 20. What are we going to do? We're going to do a little bubble screen. Teams know it now, so it's not going to work. Because Jalen kind of chuckled about it. I had mentioned it to Carl on Monday or on Tuesday. That Jalen's like, yeah, he kind of chuckled. He's like, yeah, I'd like to see good plays being called, and and chuckled and but he's like, I guess I got to execute it though better, or so he kind of took some blame on it as well. But it's a dysfunctional team offensively. They just they're
a 5-point favorite going into the game Sunday versus the Giants.
Yeah, well, they were a 14-point game, 14-point lead favorite against them the last time they played them. But to your point though, Lauren, they were just too at ease at just gaining a few yards to make the field goal better is what they were doing. They weren't playing get a touchdown there. They just figured they had the onside kick, so it was like, all right, we can get the field goal. We're just going to make it a little nicer for Jake Elliott to make the field goal. And
all right, so
they basically played to lose. Because
let's get past where we're at, what's happened, because we certainly can't figure it out, and we can talk about it all night. What do we need to do to win Sunday versus the Giants?
Not do whatever we've been doing.
The Giants are really not a good team whatsoever.
Yeah, but we literally, it's like an echo. We said the same thing last week.
They're not a good team though, so you just got to
We were looking forward to these 2 games, remember? Because they were supposed to be the 2 games you play in a college season right before to kick everything off to make your team feel good. Remember that? Last week we said the same thing?
Well, listen, what happens is you can't let the Giants score 30 or 40 points. That's how you win the game. Everyone's scoring 30 or 40 points. Garbage teams. You can't let that happen.
Well, you're right. But we said that same thing 2 weeks ago when we played the Giants, and we were one pass away from losing that game.
So what does that all tell you? It basically shows you there's inconsistency.
Oh, yeah.
You're never going to win anything if one week your defense great and the next week they stink, or one week your offense great, next week they stink. You got to be on the same page, unless you're not going to go very far.
I would be I would be terrible at what I do, and I'm not sure what it is that I do is good, bad, or indifferent. But Carson Wentz gets a start on Sunday versus the San Francisco 49ers.
Really? What team is he with?
The Rams. He's going to start versus the 49ers on Sunday.
The Rams locked up a spot for the playoffs, so they're sitting Stafford just to.
I had to give him honorable mention.
So, do you hope that he goes off and scores like 40 points himself, or do you hope that he collapses? What do you hope?
I don't know. I just find it very humorous that he signed on with them, I guess, maybe a month ago, I guess.
Yeah, about
They
a
were
month ago.
looking for a backup quarterback, and he finally got a job, and now he's getting a start against the 49ers. That game's in LA too, right? Isn't it a home game for the Rams?
No, I think it's actually in San Francisco.
Is it?
I believe so, because I think they already played it in LA the first time when the Rams or the 49ers beat them. I'm just waiting for the picture coming up on Monday or Sunday night with Lauren with the Rams game on and the face with Lauren. Like
The game is in San Fran. Yeah, I just I had to mention it. I'm sorry. It has nothing.
I mean, I hope for his sake that he realizes this is his audition for any other team that might need a quarterback if he still thinks he's got anything left in the tank.
Yeah. I kind of like Jack's idea though for what to do for this week.
Tush push on every play.
Yeah. I don't know that the offensive line will like that, but it'll eat up a lot of clock though. That's for sure. And the defense won't be on the field.
So we need to put a lot of points on the board, and we got to hope that the defense can outlast the Giants' offense.
Yeah. I mean, it's and hopefully the Giants are already got their bags packed and they're not playing for much, because we stuck it to them a couple of years ago, so they may be thinking about that as well, and would love to stick it to us as well because of make us a fifth seed. We're still going to be in the playoffs, but have us be in the fifth seed and.
So being that we're fifth, in the 5 spot as we speak, what do you think our chances are down in Tampa playing them again? What was the final score last time? 25-11 or something? It was a crooked number. I mean,
it was like a 14-point game. So it was 25-11 is probably pretty close.
Yeah, it was a weird game, and I know a couple of us that were there.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. The way, like Anthony said, the way the defense is playing right now, Baker Mayfield, the running game with Rashad White and Mike Evans, that's gonna be a tough matchup, and it's just gonna be a tough just the way they're playing, and it's hard to as a fan we want to say they're gonna beat them because it should be no big deal, but just the way that they've been playing these past this past 6 weeks is like can they can they really win? That's the hard part.
It feels like before all that, obviously they felt like they could beat any team at any point. I don't necessarily feel like that's unheard of. I just feel like they got to be on the same page, and nothing seems consistent. So it's very hard to win that way. Like if they won that game, you think that they'd be okay for the next game. Every game right now, we're analyzing every single thing because they're just not consistent. They got to figure something out.
And the problem is you win that one. Let's say we win. Then we're going out to San Francisco with them coming off the bye week.
You're not going to feel very comfortable about that.
Right. At this point, I mean, you wouldn't think so, right? I mean, but like anything's happened, nobody thought that Arizona was going to beat us. So maybe we go out there and shock the world and we win that game out in San Francisco. And then, then we may have,
What's the theoretical playoff picture look like after Sunday? What's the next few weeks look like for us?
Well, that's pretty much what, well, we're going to get the winner of the NFC South, which at the moment, if we assuming the Cowboys and us win, we're going to be the 5 seed, which then we end up playing the lowest of the division winners on the road, which would be the NFC South, which is most likely Tampa, could be the Saints,
could be the Saints, and it could be who else?
Falcons. The
Falcons. You still got those three. You still got those 3 teams, battling it out.
Right. So you go there, they step up and they win. Let's say there, you're most likely going to be the lowest seed left over, which is why you're going to have to go out to San Francisco and play in the second round.
So do they play right away next Sunday?
They would play next. Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no more. Yeah.
They don't have a bye
Got
because
it. And we would be going to those. But if the Cowboys lose on Sunday, how does that change the picture for us?
as long as we win, we become the division winner, and then we become the second place team.
Right.
Oh.
Then you get a home game.
Right. You should get 2 home games, assuming
Okay.
you win. So
Right.
I mean that's why it's a huge swing right there. But they're playing Washington, so I mean you wouldn't think that the
They've
Cowboys
already lost to Washington this year?
Dallas no.
No. Okay.
That
No.
game was in Dallas. Yeah, they got beat up pretty good.
Yeah.
And I think Washington has a backup quarterback going as well.
Yeah, they were having some. They benched Hal, and then the quarterback last week came up lame, and he wasn't able to play.
Who was it? Jacoby somebody?
Brissett, yeah, Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah.
And then he got hurt, and he wasn't able to play, and then they had to, put Hal back in there after benching him for the week.
Stranger things have happened in football this year, folks.
Oh yeah, no, exactly. I mean, it could happen, but and then so what will end up happening this week is we play our starters, and you're going to be scoreboard watching because both of us and the Cowboys play at 4:30, and if the Cowboys are winning pretty big, maybe you'll see in the second half, the Eagles pull out a lot of their starters just to give them a little bit extra rest there and save them and not worry about
folks,
winning or losing.
Mrs. Henderson has made her grand appearance that the Eagles have made their bed. So now they have to deal with it. So,
yeah, I mean, no doubt. I think that's, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely, they hurt themselves when they lost to Seattle. That's what took the control out of their things. Because if they could have turned it around there, you win the Seattle game, then you turn into the Giants game and you win that one.
Hey, John, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but can we piggyback to fantasy football and 2 players that we had battling this year, Emily and Henry, who finished higher?
Oof. I'm assuming you got a message from Henry about that because it definitely wouldn't have been Emily saying that. But
I did not. No, I did not. I was merely just trying to
stir the pot.
Just trying to give him a little going away present. That's all.
Henry is in 7th place right at the moment.
So Emily is conceded because she said we don't need to.
Yeah, well, Henry's in 7th place right at the moment, so he's
okay.
Yes,
we need to. So,
and then Emily's about 95 points behind him, 85 points behind him.
She was doing a lot of bragging early on.
She was, but
they both were. So,
but yeah, the rumor is that Henry's not going to Florida now. He's not allowed. But
do we have a minute or two to talk Phillies spring training baseball? Does anybody care?
Yeah, sure.
Sure, lots of people care.
I mean, we're roughly, 40 days or so away from pitchers and catchers.
Yeah.
Anybody have any good vibes?
What I will say this as
we're not talking Pirates now.
No, same thing. It's the same situation. People complain there that they haven't gone out and got some pitchers. People go there complaining they haven't gotten some bullpen help. They're not alone, the Phillies. A lot of teams haven't done too much. So it looks like they haven't done too much. And again, they had a pretty solid lineup last year. They just didn't hit when you needed them to. So I never thought they were going to go out and get some big name because I don't know that makes sense. They just need to do some little things to secure where they're at. And if they don't think something's open right now, maybe they'll wait to see how the season goes and change from there. But they do not need a total rehaul of the system. I don't think that's needed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, it's the moves that the Phillies are going to be making aren't going to happen until, late February, before training camp actually starts. What they start the February 14th or whatever, usually right around Valentine's Day.
Well, and you'd also rather them not overspend for some of these guys. You know, you talk about Montgomery Rangers or some of these guys. You know, those guys just had some of their best years of their lives. They're going to want to get paid. And are you sure that guy is worth that much money? He might be, but if he's not, you just spent a lot of money. So, you know, maybe they're just a little hesitant to make a big move like that when I feel like they need more of, you know, maybe some bullpen help or something. I don't know.
No, you're right. I mean, Montgomery, I definitely wouldn't touch. He gets hurt way too much. You know, Snell's not bad, you know, but maybe he figured it out, and that's how he won the Cy Young this year. But you know, he's another guy that doesn't always go, you know, far in the games. You know, so I don't know that you can give him the huge number. You know, if you're able to get him cheaper, waiting longer, then maybe it'd be a nice little move. Because I do still think that they do need another starter. You know, move Christopher Sanchez back to the bullpen.
Well, he would be your 6, right?
Right. Yeah, at that point, you know. So,
hey, John, any more talk on Rhys Hoskins? I know he's near and dear to your heart.
No, and which is still keeping my hopes up high that something's going to happen. But you know, the Cubs were a team that were interested. The Seattle was a team that was interested. So yeah,
well, there's a good chance he could still end up in Pittsburgh.
It could. They signed 2 first basemen last year, and they figured out who was going to play. So you never know.
John doesn't seem about that.
Yeah, they already signed who was it, Rowdy Tellez or whatever it was.
Yeah, but it was only like $3 million. They can give someone else another $4 million, let him play. I mean, I don't think Rhys Hoskins is going to get the money that Rhys Hoskins thinks he's going to get. I think he's going to have to take 1 year, $5-6 million, prove himself, and then get the contract.
So why wouldn't the Phillies give him that deal?
Right, that's what I'm saying. If that's the case, it's going to happen. He's going to be back to the Phillies.
Well, there's obviously some type of sour taste there, I feel, whether he says it or not. You know, when they're not eager to bring him back, he either wants too much money or they're not eager to bring him back, one or the other.
Well, I mean, his agent, you know, is Scott Boras, and, you know, he's looking for the best deal possible, right?
Well, sure. So, but if it doesn't happen, then what do you do?
Then you get the second best deal.
Right, and I don't think there's any sour taste though.
I'm just saying, what if there are no deals? Because I have no idea. If Rhys Hoskins wants $15 million a year, and everyone else is offering him $5 million, he's not in the ballpark that they need to be. No one's going to give him that much because he hasn't played in a year. So
let me ask you this: if he's being offered $5 by the Phillies or $5 by the Pirates, where is he signing?
That depends on how he feels personally. You know, if he feels like that he was shafted in Philadelphia, then he might want to go play for the Pirates.
Where does that flag? Who's waving that flag that he was shafted?
I didn't say that. I'm asking it. That's saying if that's how he feels, that he might feel that way. I have no idea. If he feels like the Phillies owe him more money because he played all those years with them at like league minimum amounts, and the Pirates will actually let you play and they're eager to have you. Sometimes you want to go to a place that's eager to have you rather than the place that, hey, you want to take $5 million just so you can, because either way, he wants to get paid and they don't think that he's worth it because they would have done it.
Well,
yeah, but if it's only one, if it's a 1 year deal, he's staying with the Phillies because he, like he said, when he was in the locker room, you know, after they won, he wants to win. He's going to go to a winner, so he's just not going anywhere.
I get that's what he says, John, because what else are you going to say in that situation? But what I'm saying is if the Phillies wanted him, they would make room for him. They clearly want Bryce Harper to play there, or he rules the roost in Philadelphia. So what do you do with Rhys Hoskins?
Well, I think that might be where he has a little bit of a sticking point, because if you guys remember correctly, Bryce Harper was given the choice. The doctors cleared him and said he could go back to playing the outfield. And they said to him, do you want to play the outfield or do you want to play first base? And he didn't give a resounding, I'll go back to the outfield. He basically said, I'll do whatever you guys want. So I think right then and there, if he had said, I'll go back to the outfield, that now opens up a spot for Rhys Hoskins. But he didn't say that. and the spot that he's more protected is first base. So I feel like it's a natural reaction for Rhys Hoskins to feel like, damn, you could have went back to the outfield and you didn't. And so now you've basically, I'm up Schitt's Creek.
And I know guys are getting a lot of money these days, but I don't know that Rhys Hoskins is worth, and Johnny, I know you love him, but I don't know that he's worth what he might think he's worth. I mean, I feel like, you talk about like Rowdy Tellez got $3.5 million. He had an off year last year, but the year before he had like 35 home runs. So the Pirates are hoping they could do that. That's what someone's hoping with Rhys Hoskins. I can give him $4 or $5 million. He gets better. Hopefully he wants to re-sign with our team, or he's going to want a bigger contract somewhere else. It'd be great if he stayed in Philadelphia. I feel like he doesn't feel like he's necessarily wanted there, whether he says it or not.
Well, I'm not disagreeing with you. I mean, I'm just saying if he's getting that kind of money, I think he's coming back here to Philadelphia, and I think then it opens up Harper going to the outfield a little bit,
or Harper
doesn't want that contract with a lot of incentives too.
Right. Yeah.
Well, what if Harper doesn't want to go to the outfield? Harper's got a bigger swing than people think. If he doesn't want to go to the outfield, he's not going to the outfield.
Yeah. It sounded like it was more of the Phillies made the decision that he was going to be staying at first base, Harper. Probably because they thought at the time, Hoskins was going to want $15 million, $18 million. So they spent the money on Nola instead, which is probably the right move between those two players at the time. But if the things change around and Hoskins is only getting $5 million, $4 million, you pay bench players that kind of money for your lineup. I take Hoskins on the bench paying him $5 million, all day long, because who knows what's going to happen? Who knows that? Harper hasn't stayed healthy. Harper hasn't been healthy in 2 years.
No, I think that's what the dilemma, and I'll stop talking about this, but I think the dilemma is I don't know that Rhys Hoskins maybe wants to play the bench. If you got to get paid after this year, you want to play every day. And that's the benefit of a team like the Pirates or the Reds or one of these teams that aren't great, because you could play. Not that you want to be there forever, but you can play and they can see you.
Oh no, I understand. I'm just saying, but if it on a 1 year deal, I don't think so. If the Pirates would give him a 5 year deal, escalating it up from the $5 million, then yeah, he's going to go there. But if you're only talking a 1 year deal and he's going to get paid playing for the Reds, the Pirates, whoever the team might be, and then versus being here at the Phillies, I think he's going to be here and do what he's got to do, and not hope for an injury, but if something happens, he shows his things and he has a good year hitting, showing that he's healthy again. Then he gets another contract somewhere else the following year.
All right, the Rhys Hoskins happy hour is over.
Damn.
Lauren, let's talk a little Sixer basketball before the night totally gets away from us. How you liking the new brand of basketball?
Good. I mean, week after week, you kind of ask me the same question, and I kind of have the same sort of Jalen Hurts answer. But I mean, everything looks good right now. I feel like if we don't mention it, they won't notice and they won't screw it up somehow. So just let them play. Yeah. Everything looks good. I mean, yeah, do they lose a couple games here and there? Absolutely. Do some guys not look great every night? Absolutely. But there's always somebody there to sort of pick it up for them. There's a different superstar every night. And Joel Embiid's just been consistent. He's only had a sprained ankle so far. He's only missed 4 games from it. So just mum's the word.
Yeah. How much of it do you think the turnaround from this year is with Nick Nurse?
Oh, all of it.
Yeah.
All of it. 100% of it.
Oh.
Yeah, 100% of it.
Just
so
a different.
Go ahead.
Ladies first.
I found your comment interesting earlier, John, about how, you didn't think anybody would want to come here to coach the Eagles because of what a mess they are.
Right.
And I feel like you made a very similar comment last year when they got rid of, Doc Rivers and who was going to want to come here. And they found Nick Nurse and he was willing to come here and he's really changed it around. So if that's the road that the Eagles end up going down, maybe the Eagles find their Nick Nurse of football somewhere out there and can turn the team around just like he's done for the Sixers so far.
Yeah, well, as far as the Eagles wise, I was talking about not as the head coach, as a defensive coordinator or an offensive coordinator. If you're going to get a head coach, yeah, it'll be easier.
Nick Nurse is going to coach the Eagles?
He might.
Well, let's have at it. See what happens.
He's doing a great job with the Sixers, so why not?
Yeah, I've fallen in love with the fast-paced offense up and down the court. Maxey's playing out of his mind every night. A true superstar in the making. Any disagreements?
No, not at all. It's you're getting everybody involved. That's what's making it even faster. I mean, when I had said I wasn't sure who was going to be playing, come here to the Sixers, we still had the Embiid and Harden issues to figure out and what was going to happen there. And
okay, I'll give you that. So I won't give Nick Nurse 100% credit. I'll give him 95% credit.
Yeah. I mean,
95% is him. 5% is the fact that we don't have all these, like I said before, we don't have all these outside distractions. This is probably the first season in 5 years?
Yeah.
We haven't had to deal with Ben Simmons saga or James Harden saga. And it's amazing how you can just concentrate on basketball when there's not all this outside noise.
And he uses we talked about it before, but he uses the bench very well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Every time I see it, guys are coming in, guys are fresh. It's giving guys a chance to play.
Your boy Korkmaz has never seen so much floor time.
But I just think that's
he's
good.
asking for a timeout every once in a while.
The coach calls his number and he's like, "Oh, me again?"
Yeah, I was just out there for 10 minutes.
But it makes those guys feel wanted, and it makes them, if you feel like you're on the bench all the time,
Right.
whether you say it or not, I mean, that mentality sucks, right? If you know you're going to come in even 2, 3, 4 minutes a game, as long as you feel like you're getting in that game, you feel like you're helping. Some of those guys at the end of Doc Rivers, you didn't see them for like months.
You forgot they were on the team.
Yeah, no, that's true.
You can't do that.
No, and you got to give some love for Embiid as well, because he's really changed his game completely.
I'll wait. I always wait for him till we get to that playoff time.
Well, I understand, but
because something soft happens playoff time or something happens, and
yeah, but I mean he's this year is totally a different team. Like a player. He's passing the ball. It's not me. He's putting up a triple double and he's done in the third quarter. It's like he's not even playing in the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just you got to.
Who is this James Curley guy about Papa Jim and Papa who? James Curley, not Curley. Who is this?
That's Jimmy. You know him if you saw him at the stadium. He's an usher. He works at the stadium. Sometimes he has a beer with us after the game.
Oh.
You would know him if you saw him.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, and you got to go.
Yep.
Happy New Year, James.
Well, humbug to you too.
Hey, I'm going to use up the last minute to talk about the Flyers and how bad this road trip actually turned out. So, it was
a brutal travel plans too.
Oh,
so.
it always is when you got to go out to Western Canada, and especially on a night where you got to face Connor McDavid, and
is he any good?
He's very good. He's very good, but they're in a rebuild, and I think that's surfaced. That we're in that rebuild, and hopefully they can. Win more. The Vancouver flu. Yeah, everybody was sick, right? Or everybody is getting sick. You just got to hope that they stick with the plan, right?
Oh yeah, no, I don't think it's going to derail them. I mean, they were hanging in most of those games. I mean, it wasn't crazy.
We need that sniper. We need that superstar.
Oh, yeah, we've known that. Yeah, that's their next move.
Yep.
Hopefully that Russian's going to come over, next year, and he can be that offensive player that we're hoping for. At least one of them.
Fingers
at least one of them.
crossed. But we are at Hanrahan's Irish Pub next week with first-time guest Fred Barnett.
Yes. I mean, very fun. Arkansas Fred.
Arkansas Fred. Yep, for sure. For sure. Lauren, do you remember your days of going to school with his daughter?
Yeah, I think I might have made that up.
Made it up. Found it out the other day. Broke out the yearbook, spelled differently.
Broke out the yearbook, spelled differently.
No way.
That was such a great story.
It was an awesome story.
Well, we could lie.
Well, she's going to be there next week with her dad, so.
Well, unless her name's Ella and she's coming from Connecticut because that's where she lives now, then I don't think it's the same person. So,
okay.
Sorry to disappoint, Johnny.
No worries.
Emily and Henry's last show.
We're not bringing any tissues. There'll be no tissues. There's no crying at the show. But anyway, we got a couple of great shows lined up for January. 2 weeks later, we're at Buffalo Wild Wings in Glen Mills with Penn State #1 pick Blair Thomas.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to that as well. We've got a whole lot of Broad Street Bullies coming to Carl's Cards in the month of January.
Getting filled up quickly.
We got a whole lot of stuff going on. And I got a funny feeling there's going to be a whole lot more added. So we're going to be busy in January.
Yes, we are. We're always busy.
We're always busy.
Got to keep
closing comments. You guys want to go out on the limb for Sunday and make some predictions?
No, thanks.
9-3.
9-3. You didn't say which team, though.
No, because I don't know.
Just 9-3.
9-3. Everyone's tired and they want to be done.
With the Birds in a blowout, I think they turn the page. And
you said the same exact thing last week.
You've been blowing them out for 6 weeks here.
Yeah, I mean, we've been hearing about this blowout now for quite a while, but you literally told me in the store last Saturday that it was going to be a blowout.
I did.
He loves his teams.
It wasn't.
I love my teams.
He loves his teams.
35-10. Thank you, Joe Stinger. Thank you, Joe Stinger. I love you, man. Yeah. We gotta get a blowout to go into the playoffs with the momentum, and just see where the chips fall. That's all.
I know what you gotta do, but all year, all season, they haven't done what you gotta do.
Well, just a short few weeks ago, we were 10-1. We weren't talking about this crap.
That feels like a century ago at this point.
Well,
you're right. Yeah. But the problem, though, Carl, for this week, I don't know that you're going to be able to get a blowout win, and not because that the Eagles can't do it. Like we were talking earlier, they're going to be scoreboard watching, And if the Cowboys are blowing out Washington, you're not going to be getting your starters all game long, because they're going to be pulling everybody out so they don't get hurt. The rest up that it could be the halftime, it could be
Well, I'm becoming a Commanders fan on Sunday, so I'll go Commanders and Eagles in 2 blowouts. So how about that?
You always have to be a fan of the Eagles and whoever the Cowboys are playing.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you.
And as long as that happens, then you might get your blowout. But otherwise, you're not. You probably won't see a blowout just because of that reason. And then
they're going to put up a lot of points in the first quarter, and we'll let everything else fall into place.
That's what I thought we were doing this past Sunday. Wasn't that the people this past Sunday? And then what happened?
Right, this has been a great show. Thanks everybody for coming.
Really? I'm just saying you can still get your win. I'm not saying they're not going to win. I'm just saying it just, it was. You just may not have the blowout win that you want just because of circumstances, not because of the Eagles playing bad. That's all. You might have your 4 stringers in there.
I'm speechless.
Like Ronnie was saying, we might be suiting up on Sunday.
I would watch that.
That would be a game.
Just because
Johnny, there ain't 2 good legs between the 4 of us. So
well, you're not kidding about that. I mean, but that's just how it may be, though. It's like
jazz musician.
You're just not going to have. You may not have the team going out there to be able to long enough to be able to put up a bunch of points. And
all right. Well,
Giants
we're going
could
to keep our fingers crossed. Okay, we're going to keep.
We're
our
staying
fingers
positive,
and
though.
Toes crossed. We're going to stay positive.
Absolutely.
Hopefully, we'll see some of our folks that joined us tonight. Maybe they're local and they'd like to join us next week for Arkansas Fred Barnett, and we'll have some fun for our first live show.
I'll ask him if he knows Ella Barnett. Maybe
that's still different.
Maybe he knows her.
And the other positive news is we haven't lost. The Eagles haven't lost in 2024 yet, so we're that's a positive note.
Oh boy,
there we go. I like that.
It's positive, right? So they can go undefeated and win the Super Bowl still in 2024.
And between now and next Wednesday, the Phillies sign Reese Hoskins.
Wow,
that'd be beautiful, but that's not going to happen until very late, though.
Okay, all right. Well.
Definitely not going to the Bucks. I'll just say that.
Come on, give me something.
Well,
Did you think it was funny though that John was okay with him coming to Philly for a year to sign for $5 million and then go on to get a big contract, but he would never do that and go to Pittsburgh and get a big contract?
That doesn't sound biased.
No, it doesn't sound biased at all.
Well, I'm just saying he's not. No, I said he would sign if the Bucks would give him a 5-year deal. He would sign there. Sure.
But why would he do that?
They're not going to give him a 5-year deal.
Well, I'm
not
saying,
only are they not going to give him a 5-year deal, but why would he do that? Why would you agree to that? So if you are going down the path of the Pirates being a terrible baseball team and they're never going to win a World Series, and he said that he wants to win.
Well, he's gonna.
Why would he take the next 5 years in the peak of his career and sign with the Pirates? Doesn't make any sense.
I'm trying to give Anthony hope.
Yeah. Well,
Anthony gets hope this weekend. He's going to Pittsburgh for the weekend.
As long as it doesn't snow on us.
You might get snowed.
Yeah. Be careful. Enjoy, though.
What is it, Bucks? What weekend?
Just Pirates Fest.
Pirates Fest.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Are they the only team in baseball that does this?
I don't know. It's almost like
it kind of reminds me of ALS, like what the Phillies do.
Right.
They always do it
but you buy sessions. So there's 5 different sessions, and then they break the guys up. So obviously, like the bigger names are all broken up into different ones. But it's $25 for a session, but you get an autograph from each of the guys in that session.
Okay.
It's basically like.
So you bought all 5 sessions?
We didn't buy any sessions.
No, I don't really need anybody. I just want to see what's doing.
Who's the bigger names?
You're just going to go.
I think John is asking who the big names are. 1 in part because he might be curious, but 2 in part he's wondering who a big name is on the Pirates.
So there's like 4 or 5 different groups.
Yeah.
So one would have McCutcheon as their big name. Another one would have Mitch Keller as their big name. Another one would have.
Oh, no.
I got a Phillies card I need signed.
All right. Well, you got $25.
Yeah, sure.
David Bednar's one. O'Neill Cruz is another.
Hayes.
Probably Brian Hayes is another one. So, and then a bunch of younger guys, and then a bunch of Steve Blass.
Henry Davis is supposed to be there, so I wish I would have kept that baseball that he totally destroyed for Anthony, so I could have thrown it at him.
But it'll be nice to be there with fellow people struggling through the same thing.
They'll all commiserate together. You get a pack of tissues on the way in, so you can into them.
You guys are rough.
That's how you know you're a real fan. You're driving to Pittsburgh in a friggin' snowstorm
to walk around,
to watch some schmucks to walk around. I mean, that's not many people do that. I'll tell you.
God bless you.
No, that's true.
God bless you. Raise the Jolly Rancher.
Yep.
And for that, I hope that Hoskins goes for you.
See.
He doesn't.
We sign him on Friday, so he'll be there on Saturday.
Exactly.
Don't worry, John. We have room in the car for you.
Let me tell you something. If they signed him, his face would be everywhere. He'd be the Bryce Harper of Pittsburgh. I'll tell you that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, another great show, another great night. First one of 2024. Thank you. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Come on out and have a beer with us next Wednesday night.
Yep.
Be our first live show of the new year. We're really looking forward to it. We got a lot of great stuff happening in January. So Thank you again and again and again. John, thank you. Lauren, Anthony, thank you. To all our great fans that join us. Thank you to Sue Henderson, who gives us her 2 cents at least once a week. I get it every day. So,
Okay.
On that note, Johnny, cue the music.
Sounds good. Go Eagles.